Imagine that as a kid, you were given the ability to be LeBron James, possibly the best basketball player of all time when you grow up. You were given all the natural talent, all the work ethic, and all the resources and coaches and mentors that you would need for the rest of your life. All you would have to do is live out the life laid out in front of you, and you would be LeBron. Or maybe you'd rather be Jennifer Aniston or Albert Einstein or whoever. That's up to you. But you were given everything you needed to live a glorious life. Our baptism is better than that. Because by our baptism, we're given a share in the life of Jesus, the Son of God. And the church uses phrases like adopted sons and daughters of God to describe what we are by baptism. Because when we're baptized, we're given a share in Jesus' own life, and because of that life, we're able to be the people we were created to be. Living for love of God, for love of Him and other people is really the only way we can find fulfillment in this life. And Jesus is a complete outpouring of love. So if we share in His life, that's the fulfillment of all our desires. And there's no greater glory than that. There's already a LeBron James, there's already Jennifer Aniston and Albert Einstein. But what's more glorious than being famous or extremely talented is being completely consumed by God's love, so that our lives are a source of joy and truth and goodness for others. By our baptism, we're given a share in the life of Jesus so that if we continue to follow Him and receive the sacraments, we can be who we were created to be. We can be filled with God's love in this life and in the next. Because as Jesus says in the gospel, our names are written in heaven. And that's what the saints do. They live out the life of Jesus that has been given to them in their baptism so that their sufferings are the sufferings of Jesus, and their talents and gifts and joys are filled with His life. For example, today St. Paul says, "I bear the marks of Jesus in my body." He's talking about the things that He suffered in trying to preach the gospel. St. Paul must have scars all over his body because during his journeys in preaching the gospel, he was scourged and stoned and beaten and shipwrecked and imprisoned. And he's saying that Jesus is living in him so that those scars are the marks of Jesus on his body. And in another place, St. Paul says, "It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me." He knows that he has been given a share in the life of Jesus by his baptism. Now, I know that when I talk about the glorious things that the saints have done, those things can seem out of reach for us. But they're not. It's not out of reach for us to live for God and for others, to live the life that has been given to us in our baptism and to share in the glory of Jesus Christ. That's what each of us is called to share in the glory of God in our own way. St. Gianna Beretta Molla was an Italian mother of 4. She was a pediatrician, and she practiced medicine according to Catholic teachings. She was a member of the Vincent de Paul Society in her church to serve the poor. Blessed Pier Giorgio Frassati was an Italian young man who fought against fascism in Italy. He served the poor, but he also loved hiking and rock climbing. Don't those sound like things we could do? They're serving the poor, they're fighting for justice in society, they're sacrificing for others, but they're also living relatively normal lives, even as they're living out the life of Jesus that has been given to them in their baptism. And each of us can do that. As I said with my LeBron analogy, God already gave us all that we need, but we just have to continue to say yes and live out the life that He gave to us. So I'll suggest a prayer for you to pray at some point during this Mass. And feel free to put it in your own words, of course, but here it is. Lord, you know my weakness, but do whatever you want with my life. Lord, you know my weakness, but do whatever you want with my life. And he will help us to be who we were created to be. He'll fulfill all our desires. St. Paul says, may I never boast except in the cross of Jesus Christ. I think St. Paul knows he's amazing, but he also knows that everything he has was given to him by Christ. And we were given the very same gift, the gift of the life of Jesus on the day of our baptism.